And had I been there during a raid, I certainly would have been picked up and questioned as to why I was there, who I was with. And to be honest, it's like you just wonder, like, is the truth going to be enough?
Monocacy Audio LLC presents The Ascendant Project. The mission of the Ascendant Project is to explore the origin of political, philosophical, and spiritual positions in individuals. A contributor writes a 750-word essay and then gets interviewed. The purpose of the interview is to bring out other views and hopefully life experiences that sent the author down the path to the position expressed. It is not intended to be a forum for debate, but rather a project to better explore and understand the American experience. All opinions and views expressed, written or verbal, are not necessarily the opinion of the podcast nor Monocacy Audio LLC. They are also not intended to malign anyone or any organization. It is our hope that personal growth is the result, as well as a greater appreciation for new, unique, and differing points of view. Join us on this journey to ascend to a higher state of consciousness.
Minnesota. Nearly every day, I am absolutely awestruck by the grandeur, complexity, and spectacle that is the world we live in. Without exaggeration, there is more to experience and more to learn than could be done in at least 8 billion lifetimes. Everything from the mundane drop of a pedal falling towards the earth to the orchestra that is a car engine humming in time to never-ending internal combustion. It's all fascinating. How come the pebble always falls towards the earth? Why is it always along the same path? Would different pebbles fall differently? Why? Why not? How does the engine keep from exploding? How can the same mechanism be used in so many different designs? What makes one design different from another? What makes them the same? On, my wonder wanders, from the briefest of moments to the vast expanse of space and time. It's quite easy to be wrapped up in it all. And it's a testament to our intelligence as humans that we've managed to define, measure, or understand any of it. But even as crafty and as clever as we are, there's still so many questions left unanswered. Every answer generates new questions, and it's likely that some questions will ultimately be left unanswered. Maybe some questions we'll never get to even attempt an answer. Maybe some questions will simply be too uninteresting. Maybe some questions will require more people to describe than will ever exist. And still others might defy any attempt to answer. Again, it's easy to be wrapped up in it all. And while it would be easier still to admit defeat, to look at the relatively short amount of time each of us has and feel hopeless, I choose to be happy that I live in this time, where we know so much but also have so much to still be curious about. Having said all that, it would be understandable to think there is some grand design that we just cannot see or some divine will that our intellect just cannot comprehend. Maybe that's true, but I don't think we should give up the ghost just yet. As a young man, I was confirmed Catholic, but raised Protestant, with two technically oriented parents, in a family that proudly included both Jews and Muslims. All of that to say, my relationship with religion is complex, and my relationship with God is more complicated still. Who am I to say which is right and which is wrong? Is there even such a thing as absolute morality? What of science? How does that fit in? It was in this backdrop, when I was 16 or 17, that I found myself listening to a sermon one Sunday morning. In my church at the time, the now disbanded Columbia United Christian Church, we would sometimes have guest pastors. Many of those pastors were longtime members of the church, with full-time jobs as industry professionals or as government employees or contractors. On that Sunday morning, the guest pastor just happened to have experience with both. He gave a somewhat unusual sermon given his God-worshiping, church-going audience. It started with a fictional but nonetheless relevant story of a person driving their car through a mountain pass. Anyone who has had the experience will have seen how the road will sometimes cut directly through the mountainside, carving walls of bare rock. He continued his story as though from memory and paced across the front of the room. He described how this car might be struck by debris, rock falling from the walls perhaps. The car might be damaged, or the driver might be fatally injured. The guest pastor would finally reveal his thesis. Discussing this event afterwards, we might consider the chance that one pebble might hit another, causing a catastrophic cascade that ultimately took the driver's life. Comforting each other, we would say, "This was an act of God." The pastor continued, "But if we examine this more closely, this is an act of man." I was intrigued. How would he make this case? He went on to describe how these mountain passes are built. I can't say for sure looking back, but he spoke with such authority that I have to assume some intimate or practical knowledge of the process. The path that a roadway takes isn't random. Surveys and studies are done to determine the best possible location considering a variety of factors. Cost and environment are some factors, but also the risk to drivers. Now, having learned much as a kind of hobbyist civil engineer, I understand what he was referring to. Risks such as flooding, landslides, collisions, etc., are typically considered. While it might not be known exactly when an event such as falling debris might occur, or when that debris might cause a fatality, the question of if is almost always answered in the affirmative. That is, road designers and civil engineers know that the path cut by a mountainside roadway will eventually cause an accident. Many times, they can even get down to the point of knowing how much rain, wind, temperature, etc. will produce just the right conditions. Looking at precipitation and weather trends, they might be able to narrow it down even further to a particular season. One can see how, with enough data, we might be able to predict the very fatality my guest pastor presented with some precision. While this argument didn't quite bridge the gap, no pun intended, to godlike omniscience, it was nonetheless compelling, and I took the point. We, as individuals, often fail to recognize how very smart we've become. Our decisions as a society are frequently informed with enough precision that we can plan for our own failures. I recalled that sermon during a visit to Minnesota in January of this year. I was only there for a short time, long enough to do some IT work and hop on a plane back home, all told about 36 hours. I arrived only a week or so after Renee Good was killed, and I was immediately struck by the great sense of urgency that existed everywhere I went. I messaged back home, "This place is about to pop." Lookouts were outside every shopping center, ready to report whenever ICE was suspected of being nearby. I recall feeling especially exposed as someone who was there to perform on-site IT work in a number of Latin grocery stores. For sure, if ICE had decided to raid a store while I was there, I would be detained. And yes, I'm aware of the distinction between being detained and being arrested. With a short explanation, I would likely be released pretty quickly. But who wants to worry about that? And who wants to worry about what an agitated officer might do while they're being scouted and harassed by a crowd? Who wants to worry about what a crowd might do having been called into action by a lookout who hastily relayed conditions? I certainly didn't, and I could tell the employees I saw in the various back rooms didn't want to worry about that either. As I quickly moved from room to room, I saw the momentary fear flash across each employee's face before recognizing who I was, and that I wasn't there for them. At one point, there was a flurry of activity outside the store I was in. We were told that ICE was suspected of being outside, casing the many stores in the shopping center, and that the lookouts were monitoring. As a result of all the activity, I was told by my coworker that the stores I was in were basically void of customers, and many employees had chosen to stay home. These businesses and the community by extension were suffering. Almost certainly, this would result in patients procrastinating on healthcare, students missing lessons, neighbors avoiding one another, and local governments limiting services as tax revenue dwindled. Immigrant or not, no one wants to worry about that. Amidst all the chaos, it's easy to feel like so much is an act of God. The killing of Renee Good was a truly catastrophic failure. If any one thing had changed, the position of the gunman, the position of Renee Good's car, the temperature of the roadway, Renee Good might still be alive today. But a calculated risk was taken to put a spotlight on Minnesota, on ICE, on law enforcement, on immigrants, and on a community. This was an act of man.
Mr. Knapp.
Mr. Smyers, we meet again. My old foe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So, you wrote this essay
Yes.
about Minnesota.
Yeah.
But it's not really about Minnesota.
Not really. I mean, it is and it isn't. But
right. Would we say that it's about a spiritual journey to Minnesota?
I mean, I guess you would say it's both a spiritual and like literal. Like I did in fact go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But certainly there were
either teleporter, telekinesis, or
no astral project. Yeah. It's funny.
No Jedi mind tricks.
No Jedi mind tricks
from across the galaxy.
Yeah, sadly, because I mean it was kind of depressing. But.
Yeah. So I mean, before I even start asking you questions, am I wrong in seeing that there's a spiritual awakening beginning to happen in you?
No. I think I just don't talk. I really don't talk about it much.
Yeah. Because when we started this, you were pretty steadfast agnostic.
I mean,
but now you're beginning to talk about certain things.
Well, what is the? I can't remember. There's like certain subjects you're not supposed to talk about, like at work. Oh yeah, like politics, religion, and I don't remember what. I think there was a third, but I don't remember.
But we try to get to the roots of stuff. So spirituality is definitely feeding into politics. And
I would say I'm still a somewhat spiritual person, but as we talked about kind of during the last, or I guess maybe future episode, that depending on the release schedule, like I don't like I went to Sunday school, I did all of that, but I don't remember. I couldn't quote a single verse.
Yeah,
I don't think. And when you and I talk about it, like you're
I bet
clearly
you can remember
more
the
knowledgeable.
first 3 words though of the Bible.
Let there be light. No, that's not it. I don't.
That's close. That happened on the first day.
At first there was darkness or something like that.
That was before there was light, but yes, you're getting closer. You're moving closer to it.
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
In the beginning.
Oh fuck, man. Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah.
You would think Revelation would end with the end.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't, like, I certainly think about like spirituality in a sense.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily say, like, I don't know enough about like specifically religion to be able to like talk intelligently about it. I mean, certainly not by comparison to you, I don't think.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, with me, that's my background.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I can draw on those concrete things about how I was raised and how I was raised to interpret certain verses of the Bible and all that.
Right.
But during my wandering in the desert, if you will, I have found that true spirituality goes deeper than that. Definitely.
Yeah.
And so, and that doesn't necessarily require specific terms. It just requires the concepts of what you're feeling and where your feet are. Because I think spirituality is more about your feet, and I feel like religion is more about your head.
So I think that's well put. I like that. I like that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
or metaphor, whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know that I would say it's an awakening. I just more talking about it more. And
yeah.
I mean, it definitely comes through in this essay
Oh, totally,
because this is
100%.
specifically an experience I had at church as a teenager, a very formative experience, something that I, have recalled at various times, but something that I recalled very like clearly, as when I visited Minnesota, like.
Yeah. So you start off talking about the wonder of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much, that's pretty much my words for it. The wonder of life. You're awestruck, not just about the grandeur, but you're awestruck about the details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The complexity and spectacles, how you put it. But the humming of a car engine to, the chemical processes that are involved in combustion.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
it's
things that you don't see, yet the things that you do see.
the unseen, but that was clearly designed,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the, how when you really just stop to think about it, there's just so much going on everywhere, even in the stillness of this room. There's a lot,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Including that damn air conditioner.
I know. Yeah.
But before we started recording, I played for you a section of U2's "Wake Up Dead Man" off the Pop album.
Yep.
And that song was actually written by Edge when he was going through a really, really, really hard time, and he was just looking for the existence of Jesus. And in the middle of the song, he's looking at the small things.
Yeah.
Listen to the sound of blades of rotation. Things like that. Just like you are at the beginning of this essay.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out as an interesting cosmic parallel there.
Yeah. Well, I'll take it if it means I can be positively compared to
to a guitarist.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely, I'll take it.
Anyway, so from there, you wind up saying that it's quite easy to be wrapped up in it all, and it's our testament to our intelligence as humans that we've managed to define, measure, or understand any of it.
Yeah.
Have we?
I think some of it. I mean, and of course, like, we continue to learn. Like, we learn new things all the time. Like, Newton's laws, Newton's laws of gravity specifically, held for hundreds of years until Einstein effectively came up with a better theory. And there's still a realm or a domain where Newton's laws are very accurate and good enough, but like, we continue to learn. But the fact that we can even get close to it, given how very complex everything is, like, just being able to zero in on a particular set of observations and find any commonality between them, where would you even start? It's almost like looking at a painting and trying to describe color. There's just so much going on in any given depiction that trying to just pick out
trying to describe the Sistine Chapel to a blind man.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I think that's probably a very good analogy. That we are all essentially blind in some regard. The fact that we're able to describe it at all is, I think, really a testament to us as people.
You write that every answer generates new questions. It's likely that some questions will ultimately be left unanswered. So, being spiritual, are the answers more important to you, or are the questions?
Ooh. I mean, I love having a good answer. I love how satisfying it is when I can arrive at some solution to a problem. But I do genuinely enjoy the journey, and I would say I probably enjoy that even more, just because like the effort, and then it's only satisfying if you put in that kind of effort. Like without putting in that very real substantial effort into solving a problem, it becomes less satisfying to not having done that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how I would what about you?
Definitely for me the questions, because
Yeah.
it's interesting, and we just recorded
Thomas Paine's
Thomas
Common
Paine's
Sense, yeah.
Common Sense, and we had talked about how in some aspects, chapters apart, he's on both sides of the issue.
Right.
But when you read it, it seems like it's a stand firm type.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same point in time, you had John Adams say it was what, craptacular?
Crapulous.
Crapulous, a crapulous mass.
Yep.
I will always remember that. I need to just remember that quote and
just get it like tattooed somewhere.
Crapulous mass. Yes, maybe that should be my first tattoo. Crapulous mass.
Crapulous mass.
Maybe put it on my back with an arrow pointed towards my asshole.
Right. Beware, crapulous
mass.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now that I've distracted myself with that, yeah, for me, I mean, the questions are definitely most important because the journey is most important.
Yeah.
Whether or not I get the answer or not, yes, the answer is satisfying. But I also know that, like with the theory of relativity, perspective matters.
Mm-hmm.
Your point of observation matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the answer that I arrive to, I know, is limited and is not absolute.
Right.
So with that humility involved, in that I understand that although I have the answer that's right for me,
right,
I might not necessarily have the answer that's right for the nation.
Right.
So, but because it is my knowledge, I'll still espouse it because I want to share it.
Right.
See if it helps somebody.
Right. See
if it helps the nation. But just because it is right in the micro, I might still be wrong on the macro.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. But that's kind of how I view it. I mean, and the journey also allows you to come up with sub-questions and explore the philosophical.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And that's part of the fun to me is just
find out if my crapulous mass, if my ass is as smart as my head,
right? If you can still grip your ass with two hands,
crapulous mass.
Yep.
Anyway, man, so much mad respect for John Adams. Anyway, let's see here. In the same area, you say, and while it would still be easier to admit defeat to look at the relatively short amount of time each of us has and feel hopeless, I choose to be happy. So there you're expressing that happiness is a choice.
Yes, I think it is. It is for me.
Is it a way of life?
Yes, I also think it is. I think it is because, especially, I think for any young scientist or anybody with a scientific mind, I'll retract that a little bit. I think everyone is kind of aware of the, how we're all like steadily moving towards this finality, right? Like, even if we could somehow live forever, like the heat death of the universe comes for us all. The universe may continue to exist for trillions of years in complete and total darkness. Yeah. Like, it's kind of sad and disappointing when you stop to think about it that all of this might one day be, there really might just be nothing left for like vast expanses of time. But ignoring all that, even, like, we all have some sense of our own mortality, I think.
Yeah.
Like, bodies break down, they eventually fail, and
Don't I know it?
yeah, and then that's just it. So I think it's easy to to become to experience a sort of existential dread or depression
Right.
because of that. But I think at the end of the day, you really just have to be happy that you're here at all.
Yeah.
That you get to experience any of it. Like
How lucky you actually are to even feel pain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Out of the millions of sperm,
Right.
only one of them was you.
Yeah.
Well, half of them anyway. Well,
Right.
Only one of the sperm was half of you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible, really, to think about all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
come on, Brian. We were privileged enough to know Pierre Delecto.
Pierre. Yes.
Like
his Twitter account.
As I stare at the back of your laptop.
He's the Captain Tuttle of our time.
Right. Like we got to experience the the abject joy that brought just knowing, and then so many people before and after will never understand.
Yeah,
but we know.
The King Henry V of our time, is it?
Right.
Yeah, that was the play where the king posed as a common man. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. So, later on in your essay, my friend.
Yes.
You wind up talking about this pastor.
Yep.
Who, interestingly enough, gave a anti-sermon.
Of sorts,
almost.
Yeah.
Definitely not a sermon you would hear in a Baptist church.
Yeah. I mean, and Columbia United Church of Christ was an interesting entity. Like it was the United Church of Christ, Methodist, and Church of the Brethren.
Okay.
There was 3 churches in one. Because which I can only assume, like Columbia, Maryland itself is not especially, it's not really that old. I mean, it
was a planned community.
Right. And so at the time that I was hearing this, it was probably only about 30 years old, and it has just exploded since then. Like it went from very small villages essentially, I mean, to now very large villages.
Yeah.
So I have to assume, like, I think some of the people that I went to church with were still like founding members. Like they didn't just like found the Columbia United Church of Christ. Like they had founded the meeting house where all of these religions met every Sunday or Saturday or whatever. Yeah.
You have a very ecclesiastical, I think that's the term.
Right.
Background.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Everything under the sun.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was raised Brethren. Like, I thought the first church that I remember being in was Brethren.
Yeah.
Then we went to a Baptist church for a little bit. Then we went to United Methodist Church for a little bit. When I was in high school, I split my time between Damascus Wesleyan, which was a charismatic church in Damascus, Maryland, and Monocacy Valley Church, which was affiliated with the Reformed Church in America. And while I was in college down in Georgia Southern, I spent time at Wesley House, which was done by the United Methodist Church, and I spent a lot more time at the Baptist Student Union, which was Southern Baptist. So, and I also played music for Grace Community Church, I think it was.
Wow.
Where, that was just the startup congregation, with a congregation of like 10 people at that time.
Yeah.
Which was a great place to do special music because, that they still support you if you mess up with a place that small. So
that's pretty cool. I didn't know all that about you.
Yeah. So, I mean, when in terms of the Christian background, I've had a lot of it.
Yeah.
I've made some inappropriate jokes about various denominations, like, primitive Baptists, living in caves and holding spears.
Right.
But, but that's just a pun on the words,
Yeah.
But so, I mean, you having such an ecclesiastical background with Jews and Muslims in your family, and then going to this church with 3 different denominations going at the same time. I mean, did they just rotate pastors? Was it a single service for all 3, or?
No, it was a single service.
Wow.
Single service for all 3. Yeah. And I honestly don't know exactly what the breakdown was. I know, my mother is a member of the United Church of Christ. So, but it's not like I didn't really like go around asking anybody. I was part of the youth group too. Like, I was involved in the church. I have no idea who was what. But yeah, they would select a pastor. Like when one pastor left, they would all meet and interview and select a new pastor from, I don't know how many different people, but yeah.
Yeah, so the pastor gave a sermon which is very unique and I've never heard from the pulpit, where you wind up taking your responsibility, not attributing everything good to God and everything bad to the devil.
Right.
I guess it was just this time because this rock fell on this car.
Right. Exactly.
Well, no, it was bad engineering, and it was
right,
and it was they weren't maintaining it.
Right.
They weren't descaling the sides of the cutout.
Right. Exactly.
So it's really human error, even though it looks like an act of God.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
although the insurance companies will say act of God because that way they don't have to cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very interesting sermon, and I admit to being like really caught off guard.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly not something you expect to hear, and I wouldn't necessarily say that my church was very was always like this was just God's will. This was just an act of God. There are a lot of like I said, industry professionals, government employees, people with very extensive educational backgrounds, but I still didn't expect to hear that day. That this seemingly random event that we often just say, oh, that was just God's will. The hand of man is certainly present.
Yeah,
even in those moments.
100%. I had written in my margins here, butterfly effect, chaos theory, and does man use God and the devil as an excuse?
I mean, I think for me, the answer is yes. I know, I know there are a lot of people who believe very strongly in the devil or in the underworld, if you will, or hell, but I just, the older I become, there was another expression, I can't remember who originally said it or where I originally heard it, but that to understand all is to forgive all. That the more you know, the more you come to understand the world or the people around you, the more you forgive for past transgressions, for perceived slights,
Yeah, I tend to agree with that because the more you understand the how and the reason, the more you can empathize.
Right.
It's very easy when you don't understand something to judge it.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Like the existence of just pure, genuine evil in the world is not something. I mean, I've certainly heard my share of like truly terrible stories, but I feel like even perhaps in those, as much as I still believe that justice should be brought to bear, like I can still accept some level of forgiveness. There's another expression that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So,
and we've seen that in our friends.
Exactly. Which is not to say necessarily that people
seen it in me,
or me.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that people aren't necessarily responsible for their own actions.
Right.
but at the same time you can learn to forgive, and while still holding people accountable.
Is it Hanlon's razor? Don't assume malice when ignorance
I
will
think
do.
that's it. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another great quote.
Yeah, totally 100%.
Yeah.
I recently went to Tennessee, and my wife and we brought down seafood for a family member. And her response was praise the Lord.
Okay. Interesting. For
And
seafood?
I felt like, shouldn't we get some credit here?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're doing this for you. I mean, I appreciate that you're giving credit to God, but
Like this was your decision
this was our
to
decision.
do this. Yeah.
It would be great if we could get some recognition.
Right.
And for a certain extent, I feel like religion is a culture thing. I mean, I'm sure she didn't mean anything by it,
Right. Right.
but she says stuff like that so often. I'm not sure it has meaning anymore. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
But, once again, just.
Yeah, when everything is
Yeah.
attributed to God, then,
What's the point?
What's that? Right.
If I don't have free will, what's the point?
Exactly. Right. Yes.
South Park actually had a really good segment. I guess the devil was talking to Stan. And he was explaining how corporations work and why they make so much profits. And Stan asked the devil, was like, so if they know that these things are so bad for everyone, why do they sell it? And the devil replied, well, that's where I come in. We have to tempt you in order for you to have free will.
Yeah.
At which point, I'm like, holy crap, South Park just made a huge, huge theological, they threw down the gauntlet theologically, and
yeah.
And they'll never get any credit for it.
No, definitely not. Yeah. I mean, I think this came up in maybe our very first episode about how comedy has a way of like breaking through and, like breaking down issues, distilling them into very digestible, like things that people can understand. And I think that was, like South Park's really good at that, actually. Like if you look for it, there's tons of philosophy all over the place.
Oh, so much. Simpsons too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you took this journey, you took this wonder, tempered with a lot of realism in the sermon with E10 Minnesota.
Yep.
And this was in January when all hell was breaking loose.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty scary. And I guess in hindsight, I have difficulty deciding whether I truly had anything to be afraid of. And I suppose really when you look at it, the answer has to have been yes, because Alex Peretti was killed after I was there.
Correct.
And I thought for sure, like this was going to be it. This was going to be the thing that made just blew up the city, because it was tense. Like it was tense from the moment I got there. Like you just feel it. It was just palpable everywhere.
Yeah. Minnesotans aren't known for their violence.
No, they're definitely not. And I mean, I'm quite honestly, like this was my huge takeaway from the whole experience was how, the level of resolve, but also care for their neighbors.
Yeah.
Like there were people like taking food to families that were too afraid to leave their homes, to just make sure that they had enough to get by. The care and resolve of those neighbors, those members of the community, I think was like, it was very heartening to me to see. If there was something that, like, if we were some place on martial law tomorrow, and they, blocked off all of Westminster. I certainly wouldn't expect any of my neighbors to come to my door with a basket full of food, but maybe, I don't know. Like, people seem to like actually care. There is still some goodness in this world,
Would you say you saw God in those actions?
Uh, I didn't really think about it much, but I could say that. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's certainly if we talked earlier about how religion is, about where you are and
Yeah,
where
religion's
you
your
plant
head
your
and spirituality your feet.
yes, spirituality is your feet. There definitely seems to be this episode's going to be all about expressions and idioms, but there's like an African idiom I had heard once, and I tried looking this up, and I don't think it may not actually be African, but like the idea being when you pray, move your feet.
Yeah.
Like you can't just stand still and hope that God will come to your rescue. You
Right.
have to. So in that sense, I feel as people in these communities in Minnesota were praying, they also let that lead them to action.
Yeah. Okay, so African proverb.
It does. Okay.
At least the AI on Google says that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When you pray, move your feet. Yep,
yeah.
yep.
And John Lewis, I guess, used it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it really could be one of those that's kind of like it's been said and resaid by so many people over time that.
Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, when you're praying for something, and I pray very rarely,
Mm-hmm.
and part of the reason why I do that is just because I want my prayers to count.
Okay.
And the other thing is I don't want to like self-hypnotize myself, if you will, by
Right.
praying for the same thing over and over and over again and then hardening my perspective because I'm repeating it so much.
Right.
So I pray very rarely, but I do pray for important things.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I'm also noticed of is, and this is my problems with Christianity, is like when you pray, you're giving it to God. Just let go and give it to God.
Right.
Take no responsibility for what you're praying for whatsoever. I don't have any hand in this. This is up to you, God.
Right.
Without realizing that maybe you're the one God is supposed to be working through.
Yes. Right.
You're supposed to have the responsibility. God has given you the judgment and the discernment to see this injustice.
Yeah.
You think he wants you to just sit by?
Right. I think that perfectly sums up my feelings. Like, I feel like I may have meandered around the point a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I feel as though the people in Minnesota, they let God work through them to support their neighbors and to support their communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the other side of it. We've talked about the positive.
Yeah.
What did you see? What was it feeling like when you were there?
I mean, I've already mentioned the tension. I mean, it was palpable. I wouldn't say that I was like so nervous just being out and about that I, was, afraid I was gonna might be caught up in some kind of mob or riot. But it was certainly a little bit scary, especially given that I was there in like some Latin grocery stores. You kind of expected that those would be places that could be targeted, for whatever reason. And had I been there during a raid, I certainly would have been, picked up and questioned as to why I was there, who I was with. And to be honest, like it's like you just wonder, like, is the truth going to be enough? Like, or are you just going to have to kind of say, I guess this is the direction I'm going now, like being taken to a holding facility, I don't know. Like,
were you like scared of your job?
Scared of my job?
Scared for your job.
You mean like for the
Correct.
people at the Latin grocery stores?
No, for like you were there for dirigible, but you're 9 to 5.
Kind of, yeah. Because like this was supposed to be a very short trip, and I was, yeah, it was definitely something on my mind.
Right.
If you end up getting picked up and you make it on the news or something, like that would be pretty bad. It just wouldn't look good. Not that, not that I felt I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't. I was there to just do a job. But man, you just
Do you remember
just
what
don't
day you were
know.
there?
Hold on.
There it is. January 12th.
Yeah, and then Alex Peretti, I think, was killed on the 20th.
Yeah.
So it was like right there, smacking them in between.
Yeah, there's you didn't say too much to me on text. I do remember talking to you, and yes,
Yep.
you did text me, this town is about to pop. And I was asking you to write things down
Mm-hmm.
because you were in a very intense situation
Yeah.
and you were doing your best to process it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly wasn't something I'd ever experienced before, and I hope I never experience it again, quite
Yeah.
honestly. And I mean, it wasn't, again, it's not like there were people, roaming the streets, armed militias or anything like that. But man, like it just felt like any moment, like, am I gonna wake up tomorrow and that's what it's gonna be like? I mean, you just, I don't know. Like it was a it was an interesting interesting experience. I use
Yeah.
interesting kind of loosely.
Yeah. So here it is, Minnesota. So did you see this one's a harder one?
Uh-huh.
For me, it's always been easier to believe in God than it is the devil.
Yeah, okay.
Did you see the devil in people's actions?
No, definitely not. And I mean, maybe this is just my innate optimism, but I think as I've said, like, it was really kind of it was just very heartening to see so many people coming to each other's aid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. And I guess maybe at first I did let myself succumb to that, to that feeling. Cause, when we showed up, I remember seeing this person outside the store right after we got there. I think I'd only landed like 2 hours before. And I saw this person just like roaming, like wandering around outside the front of the store. And to be honest, I thought they were there to report on the business.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I think it was my coworker that said, no, they're there. They're a lookout. They're there to let them know if ICE shows up.
Right.
And I did see them later, like talking to some of the employees as they were like leaving or coming and going or whatever.
Did you see any raids while you're up there?
I didn't, thank God. We thought we might get raided because when I was at the second location, there was a ton of commotion outside while we were there. And we were told that there was a car like sitting in the parking lot that they suspected had ICE agents, just sitting there, watching people coming and going, and who knows if they were gonna, maybe they were there to conduct a raid and either decided against it, or maybe everyone was totally wrong and they weren't ICE at all. Maybe it was just a bunch of coworkers. Who knows? I mean, the shopping center we were in had a few, ethnic shops.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But so I didn't see a raid, but certainly thought, and people were definitely scared because like I was wandering around inside some of these stores, and I don't know if this comes through very well over audio, but I am a white man. So, like, as I'm walking around and,
With a black voice.
right, the very Barry White voice. So, like, I remember we walked into the kitchen to, just to get to where we were going. And this woman just about freaked out. She thought we were there to pick people up.
Right.
So there was like this moment of where she just kind of freaked out, but then recognized who we were because, we'd been going in and out all the whole day, at least a few hours. Yeah. So like she's like clutched her chest, like, oh, thank God, just relief.
Yeah.
And, it's also just like crazy people's reaction when they think they might be being targeted, because I remember like some of the employees are like, like went to the front of the store and they're like looking out the window. It's like, dude, if they're here, like if they're really like observing everyone, if they're trying, like you're putting your face right there in the window, like maybe like
stay away from the windows,
right? Just to like have some regard for your own safety. But I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Right. So definitely heightened awareness and some paranoia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justified.
Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah.
So how does grace / forgiveness come into this?
So,
or does it? Is it too early?
I don't know. Like man, it's tough because it's like I want to be able to forgive. Like I forgive Renee Good. I forgive Alex Peretti. I forgive these other protesters. And quite honestly, I forgive most of the ICE people too.
Yeah.
A lot of them are there just to do a job. That's not necessarily a defense for some of your actions, but like you're there to do a thing.
Right.
And I think the vast majority of them are there trying to follow the rules, still respecting people's constitutional rights. But man, I mean, it is, people are put into these situations, and this is really why I made the connection to this sermon. When you put enough tinder into the box and then hold a match over it, like, what do you expect? Like,
yeah,
the town had been just inundated with ICE, with other law enforcement. And, so it's like, it really is only a matter of time. Like, and again, like with enough observation of how these like mobs and riots and protests have happened in other cities in recent memory, like it was like it's, I'm sad to say, like these things were going to happen. Like it's horrible to think that, but that is my feeling.
You think it could have been avoided?
I think it could have been avoided like a 1,000,000%. Like just, just there's a way you can conduct law enforcement without just like scaring people to death.
I completely agree.
Or moving people to organize the way they are, the way they did.
Do you think the people in charge understand what they did? What they're doing?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to believe that they don't, but I think they have to know. They're either willfully ignorant. This is maybe too strong for me to be saying, but like they're there has to be some like willful ignorance, essentially.
To a certain extent, I
People
agree with you.
just trying to like say, it happened really bad over here, but that's not how it's going to happen for me.
I feel like it is intentional on the small scale. And I might be completely 100% opposite on this. Intentional on the small scale, completely ignorant on the large. And I'm saying that in a cosmic sense, not in an aggregate sense. So on the small scale, they're targeting immigrants. They're targeting these, it's the whole rhetoric of MAGA. But when you get onto the spiritual scale, they aren't comprehending what they're actually doing. Because there's two verses that really jump to my mind.
Yeah.
The first is from Matthew 25, verse 40. The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did to the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's complemented by what Christ said on the cross: "Forgive them, they know not what they do."
Right.
So I'm not sure they really understand the true implications spiritually of their actions. I'm not even sure they're even considering. In fact, I'm willing to put money down. They aren't even considering the spiritual implications of their actions.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
So, and that I give them ignorance there, that they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
The smaller scale for many people is the larger scale, because they don't think even bigger than that. And the smaller scale for them is like what's happening in the neighborhood, or this specific person, or all the anecdotal stories
Right.
that are there. So I don't know. Where do we go in terms of accountability?
I don't know. Like, that's really tough.
Is there even a vision for accountability? I know everybody's about the midterm elections, but if we don't win the elections, do we just let them get away with it?
What choice do we have, really? Like, yeah, elections would be a start.
Yeah.
And assuming people are elected who will hold these people accountable, they should hold these people accountable.
Right.
Which, again, is not to say that they aren't necessarily worthy of forgiveness, but, there has to be accountability.
Mm-hmm.
But in the absence of electing new representatives who will do the job, I don't know. What option do we have? Like, I don't know that we have much.
Many options.
Except to continue to protest, except to continue to try and organize and just be there for our neighbors.
Yeah.
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 And, karma can be a pretty vicious bitch.
The last thing that I had written down: innocence lost, personal Garden of Eden.
Okay.
Do you feel like you lost a little bit of innocence from going to Minnesota and coming back?
I don't know if I'd say lost some innocence, but definitely found some perspective.
We were kicked out for eating from the tree of knowledge,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you went there naked. Now you're wearing clothes, man.
Right.
I guess we can go to video now.
Well, video killed the radio star.
Exactly.
So,
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely think just found some perspective. I've never really been in like a conflict zone. Not like that anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of eye-opening to see how people can just like impromptu organize and just look out for one another. People who have no idea who each other are, but they can still kind of rally around a cause.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly and how strongly that can happen, that was certainly a kind of revelation. I usually think of, like we were, in the common sense episode, like those sentiments for the American Revolution had been brewing for like years.
Oh yeah. And the groundwork had been there like since the
Yeah.
French and Indian War.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so like it took a long time for that kind of organization, for that level of organization to happen.
Yeah.
But these people did it in days. They were just on it. That was incredible to me. And I think that, that's what that was certainly like eye-opening, like how quickly the tide can
change.
Yeah.
I didn't write this down, but now I'm like thinking, where do the No Kings protests fit into this?
I mean, I remember there was a No Kings,
and I'll throw in a sub question on it.
Okay.
How does it compare, the level of activism with No Kings compare with the level of personal activism in each other's lives that you saw?
It really just doesn't. It doesn't even compare, because like, like we've talked about this specifically before, how No Kings really just has kind of just become a rally.
Yeah.
Whereas this was genuine activism, like people taking matters into their own hands the best they could within the law and just looking out for each other. And I still think the No Kings protests are important. I think really all protests are important in a sense. So I still think No Kings is important, but it's also not the same. Like to me, there's really
No Kings is religion, and what you saw is spirituality.
Yeah.
One's with the head, one's
way
with
to bring it back around, buddy. But that's I think that's accurate.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the most important thing you really want people to take away from this essay?
That we have a lot more control over these kinds of events than we may realize. We as humans have a lot more control than we give ourselves credit for. But certainly in this situation and any similar situations, there's a lot more to do. We can't just throw down our hands and just say, well, I guess this is God's will. Like, do something.
Yeah.
And I don't mean be violent. I don't mean, take up arms. But do something. Like, go protest. Help your neighbors. Organize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Is there anything you want to add, or do you feel really good about everything that's been said?
I know.
And stated.
I feel good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You feel heard, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, awesome. I think this was a great episode.
Yeah, me too.
But it doesn't matter what I think. What do you,
it matters
the
what
listener,
I think? Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, it matters what the listener thinks.
Absolutely.
I would like to get some feedback on this episode. And please, come to our website, www.theascendantproject.com. And by all means, participate, leave a comment, send an email, reach out, tell us what we're doing right, tell us what we're doing wrong. I mean, obviously, if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, leave a comment. Just do something. I'd love to hear more from you all. I know our views are definitely getting picked up. So yeah. Anything to add, Julius?
Nope. Nope, I think you got it.
All right. Well, we will see you guys in 2 weeks. And yeah, you all have a great, great day.
Have a good one.
You have been listening to The Ascendant Project. The Ascendant Project is a production of Monocacy Audio, LLC. Any information expressed in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for expert information. We are human and ordinary people, and as a result, what is presented as fact may be in error. Monocacy Audio, LLC and this podcast hold no liability from events or damages that result from listening to or reading this podcast or its associated materials. All articles, interviews, and sound files are copyright Monocacy Audio, LLC, with all rights reserved, except our awesome theme music is by Alexei Chitalin. His music can be found on pixabay.com as well as Spotify underneath the pseudonym Lexin Music. Thank you for listening and have a great day.